Today's mini lesson, making slip. Slip is the glue that holds our pieces of clay together. It's really important. And what I'm showing today is how to take, well, this clay is kind of overworked. So what I do is use overworked clay because rather than reconstitute it back to regular usable clay, I dry it out to make slip. Slip works better with bone dry clay. With bone dry clay, it immediately absorbs the water. But if you put wet clay into water, it takes days and days before it disintegrates into slip. So a little tip, dry your clay out first. This is how I do it. I get my clay mat, I get my clay, and then all I do is make it nice and thin so that it will dry out easily. And you can do that with a rolling pin or just by mushing it. Essentially, I'm just trying to make this clay be bone dry when I arrive to work tomorrow morning so that I can demo how to turn it into slip in class in the 3 sculpture classes I have right now. This is an example of bone dry, and you can see with this particular clay, it's much lighter than when it's still got a lot of water, moisture content in it. When this looks like this in the morning, that's when we get to use it for slip. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna spread this out until it's super duper thin, which I already did with this piece. And then that's it. I'm just gonna kind of drape it so that it can get as much air as possible. It's nice and thin, see? And then tomorrow, when it's dry, I'm gonna break it up and make slip, which you will see in just a moment. Here's some of that dried clay from yesterday. The clay is now bone dry. And before we make it into slip, I also take this opportunity to show how fragile bone dry clay actually is and how easily it breaks. Okay, so I'm just gonna lift this very slightly off the table. Okay, so according to all the various states of clay, bone dry clay is absolutely the most fragile. And then on to making slip. The reason I use bone dry clay, like I said before, is because it quickly absorbs the water and disintegrates into nice slip. Anytime you're using a new clay body, you should really make new slip if it's a different brand, because you just never know if it's going to dry at a different rate or do something unpredictable. There's already so much unpredictability with clay. So if switching clay bodies, make some new slip. And I always make new slip at the beginning of each school year, or if I change clay bodies. All right, so I'm just filling our little slip cups up with some bone dry clay. And adding water. That's it. Within about 10 minutes, it's going to disintegrate and become usable slip. I like to watch it and listen to the air bubbles. Can you hear that? All right, and then this one I did last period, so this has been about an hour, and this is what it turns into. It crumples and disintegrates. And when you're making slip and using slip, you really want it to be kind of a pasty consistency, about like yogurt, like thick yogurt, like Greek yogurt. Okay, and then by the following day, this will be really smooth, nice slip. But there's nothing wrong with this either. You can absolutely use this way. All right, that's it. Use bone dry clay to make slip anytime you need to, or when changing the clay body you're using.